Welcome back, beautiful souls. You made it to part three. In part two, we explored how your brain literally begins to change when you shift your attention towards new potentials and why what you focus on shapes the structure of your mind. Now, in part three, we're diving into one of the most powerful keys to manifestation that Dr. Joe can teach or that he teaches. And that is how combining a clear intention with an elevated emotion creates the energetic signature that calls your new reality to you. In other words, you don't have to chase, you become magnetic and you attract. If you ever wondered why mindset alone is not enough, or why you sometimes think positive but don't see results, this part is going to open so many doors for you. Let's dive in. My book. And so this part is called Changing Your Energy, Combining a Clear Intention with Elevated Emotions. Once you're in the sweet spot, once you're in the sweet spot of the generous present moment where all possibilities exist in the quantum field, how do you turn one or more of those potentials, those immaterial possibilities into reality in the three-dimensional world of matter? This requires two things: a clear intention and an elevated emotion. Your clear intention is exactly what it sounds like. You have to get clear on what it is you want to create, getting as specific as possible. I know in the manifestation community, they try to tell you be general. No, baby, be specific. You're only being general when you don't believe, and that's okay, but be specific. He says, let's say you want to go on a great vacation. He says, oh no, let me go back. I'm sorry. Your clear intention is exactly what it sounds like. You have to get clear on what it is you want to create, getting as specific as possible and describe it in detail. Now he says, let's say you want to go on a great vacation. Where is it that you want to go? How do you want to get there? Who do you want to go with? And who do you want to meet when you get there? What sort of accommodations do you want to stay in? What do you want to do or see when you're there? What food do you want to eat? What do you want to drink? You get the point. Make it detailed. Make it as real as you can because you are going to assign a letter as a symbol of possibilities to all those conditions. As you read in the previous chapter, those thoughts which make up your intention are electrical charge you are sending out into the unified field. Now, you have a combined intention. I'm sorry, you have to combine the intention with an elevated emotion, such as love, gratitude, and inspiration, joy, excitement, awe, or wonder, to name just a few examples. You have to tap into the feeling that you anticipate you will have when you manifest your intent, and then feel the emotion ahead of that experience. And I want to say to this part too, um, a lot of times we try to think that there will be this like intense excitement when something happens. But if it's something you expect to happen, you're not really excited. If anything, you're more like relieved. That's the word I would use. You'd feel relief, like, ah, this is nice. Isn't this wonderful? This is great. It's so cool. Yeah. You wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm on this vacation. It's so amazing. No, like that's not. So yeah. The elevated emotion, which carries a higher energy, is the magnetic charge you are sending out into the field. And as you have read, when you combine the electric charge, which is your intention, with the magnetic charge, which is your elevated emotion, you create an electromagnetic signature that is equal to your state of being. Hold that thought because, yeah. Another way to describe these elevated emotions is to call them heartfelt emotions. Usually, when we feel emotions like those I just mentioned, we notice that our heart begins to swell. That's because our energy is moving into that area. And as a result, we feel these wonderful, elevated feelings that carry an intent to give, to care for, to nurture, to trust, to create, to connect, to feel safe, to serve, to be thankful. Unlike stress emotions, which we discussed in the previous chapter, that draw from the invisible field of energy and information that surrounds the body. These heartfelt emotions contribute to the body's energy field. In fact, the energy that is created when the heart opens makes the heart become more orderly and coherent, just like the brain. So it produces a measurable magnetic field. It's this action that connects us to the unified field. And when we marry an intention, the electrical charge, with the energy, the magnetic charge, we create a new electromagnetic field. Since energy is frequency and all frequency carries information, it is that elevated energy that carries your thought and your intention. Remember, those potentials in the quantum field only exist as electromagnetic frequencies, frequencies with information, and you cannot perceive them with your senses as matter yet. It makes sense then that the new electromagnetic signal you broadcast would attract those electromagnetic frequencies in the field that are a vibrational match to it. In other words, when there's a vibrational match between your energy and any potential that already exists in the unified field, you begin to draw that new experience to you. It will find you as you become the vortex to your future. Does that sound like Abraham Hicks a little? Yeah, right. So, in that way, you don't have to work to bring what you want to manifest to you, and you don't have to go anywhere to get it. That's changing matter with matter. You have to become pure consciousness. Nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, in no time, and change your energy, the electromagnetic signal that you are broadcasting, and then you will draw that future experience right to you, changing energy into matter. You will literally tune into the energy of a new future. As you do so, the observer, the unified field, is observing you observe a new destiny, and then it endorses your creation. Take a glance at figure 3.4. That's this right here. You're going to take a screenshot while I got it upright this time because I swear. All right. Before we go any further, I want to back up just a bit to emphasize how important elevated emotions are for this equation to work. After all, when you decide to observe a future in the quantum field that you want to manifest, if you're doing it as a victim or as someone who's suffering or feeling limited or unhappy, your energy is not going to be consistent with your intended creation, and you won't be able to call that new future to yourself. That's the past. You may have a clear intention, and therefore your mind may be in the future because you can imagine what you want. But if you feel any of those familiar, limited emotions, your body still believes it's in the same limited past experience, aka it feels separate from what you actually want. That's the part that we have to work to get beyond. That's the part that drew me to this work because I know how to think positive. I know how to be a master manifester. I've done it eons of times. But it's when you find yourself in a pattern that's not so easy to get over, then you'll be drawn to this work. As you learned in the previous chapter, emotion is energy in motion, and elevated emotions carry a higher frequencies than survival emotions. So if you want to create change, you have to do it from a level of energy that's greater than guilt, greater than pain, greater than fear, greater than anger, greater than shame, greater than unworthiness. In fact, any lower vibrational energy that you are feeling cannot carry the thought of your future dream. It will carry only a level of consciousness equal to those limited emotions. Therefore, if you're going to perform something that's unlimited, you better feel unlimited. If you want to create freedom, you'd better feel free. And if you want to truly heal yourself, you'd better raise your energy to wholeness. The more elevated the emotion you feel, the greater the energy you broadcast, and the more influence you will have on the material world of matter. And the greater your energy, the shorter amount of time it takes for your manifestation to appear in your life. That's the gag, y'all. You collapse time, space, reality when you embody the end, as Neville Goddard taught. When you live in the wish fulfilled, you are literally collapsing time and space. You don't have to work as hard. You are telling the universe, I'm already the version of me who has it. And so, like Joe is saying, the unified field is the ultimate observer. We are observers of our reality, but the unified field is observing all of us in all of the realities. And so, if you tell it, this is who I am, it's observing you and it's going to endorse what you're actually observing and feeling into. I hope y'all get that. If you get that, drop something in the comments. I want to know that you get that the way I got that. In this process, you relax and allow a greater mind, the consciousness of the unified field, to organize an event that's right for you. You essentially get out of the way. When you are surprised by an unknown experience that seems like it came out of nowhere, that's because you created it in nowhere. Something appeared out of nothing because you created it in no thing. And it could happen in no time if you create it in the realm beyond linear time. That's the quantum field, where there is no time. A French I can't even talk. A French researcher named Rene Poic, PhD, demonstrated the power of intention with newly hatched baby chicks. When chicks hatch, they usually imprint on their mother, bonding with her and following her around. But if the mother isn't there when the chicks hatch, they'll imprint on the first moving object that they encounter. For example, if a chick first sees a human, it will follow the human around in the same way. For this study, Poach built a special type of random event generator, a computerized robot that would turn randomly as it moved around an arena, going right 50% of the time and going left 50% of the time. As a control, he first recorded the robot's path in the arena with no chicks present. He found that over time, the robot covered most of the arena equally. Next, Poach exposed newly hatched chicks to the robot. As expected, they imprinted on the robot as if it was their mother and followed it all over the arena. After the chicks had imprinted on the robot, he removed them from the arena and put them in a cage on one side where they could see the robot but not move towards it. What happened next was astonishing. The intention of the baby chicks to be near to what they believed to be their mother, in this case, it was the robot, actually influenced the random movements of the robot. It no longer moved all over the arena, but instead remained in the half of the arena closest to the chicks. See figure 3.5. If intentions of baby chicks can influence the movements of a computerized robot, just imagine what you can do in drawing your future onto you. Here is that experiment. Oh, there we go. I'm never going to get used to this, guys. Screenshot. Boom. Guys, that's powerful stuff. I don't know about y'all, but I was mind blown. But again, it's all in alignment with if you've been on this path of a journey of understanding how powerful we are, or even if this is new to you, it's amazing, astonishing to understand. In this place of the unified field, you're actually becoming aware of what already exists, and you're bringing it to life with your attention and your intention. Here, you can be a genius. You can be abundant. You can be healthy. You can be wealthy. You can have a mystical experience. You can create a new job and you can resolve a problem in your life. Remember, all these possibilities exist as electromagnetic potentials in the quantum field. You cannot experience them with your senses because they don't yet exist in this space and time. They exist only as frequency or energy carrying information that has to be tuned into and observed into this space and time. And in order for you to do this properly, you're going to have to connect to the information and energy with your energy and intention. Here's another way to look at it. If you're unified with the consciousness and the energy of everybody, everyone, everything, every place, and every time within a vast unified field of potentials, then observing a potential in the quantum is just like becoming aware of your hand in the physical world. It's like, oh, I have a hand. Oh, here it is. You're already connected to it, it already exists. Tuning into the energy of your future and intentionally observing that potential in the quantum then causes infinite fields of energy to collapse into particles called a quantum event. And that becomes an experience that can then manifest into your physical 3 dimensional world. Then, when you get up from your meditation, even though you're back in the 3 dimensional world of matter, because you already experienced the elevated emotion you anticipated ahead of the experience, you have no choice but to get up feeling as if your intent has already manifested or as if your prayer is already answered. That reminds me of the biblical scripture, when ye pray, believe ye have received. Prayer is literally using your imagination to get into a mood that lets you know it's already done. And then when you get up, you trust, you feel calm, you feel relieved. Yeah. You feel intimately connected with your new future, knowing that it will show up in a way that you can't predict. Because if you can predict it, then it's a known. In effect, you get up as a new self, one who feels more like energy than matter. But you must remain aware, because the moment you forget and start stressing about when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, you'll return back to your old self, trying to predict the future based on the what? The past. And then you'll start feeling the same old familiar emotions with the same lower energy that influenced your same old thoughts. And you've just made the choice to stay trapped in the known. We could say that you'll disconnect from the energy of your future the moment you feel the familiar energy of the emotions of your past. If you instead become successful at tuning into the potential you have chosen over and over again, that means repetition, and you get familiar with it, you will be able to tune into it not only in meditation, but also when you're in line at the bank. You'll be able to tune into it when you're sitting in traffic. You can do it when you're shaving, when you're cooking, and when you're taking a walk. You can do it over and over again, repetitiously, with your eyes open, just as you do when your eyes are closed in meditation. Just remember, every time you tune into the energy of your future in the present moment, you are drawing your future to you. And if you do it often enough and you do it correctly, you'll change your biology from a past present reality to a future present reality. That is, you will change your brain neurologically from being a record of the past to becoming a map to your future. At the same time, as you teach your body emotionally what your future will feel like in the present moment, you'll recondition your body with this new elevated emotion. You'll be able to signal new genes in new ways, and you'll change your body to look like the future you. To look like the future you chose with your clear intention has already happened. That means you begin to biologically wear your future. And for anybody who's experiencing health conditions, chronic illness, terminal illness, whatever the case may be, the key here that you should walk away with is understanding that if you can feel into the energetic version of you who is healed, who doesn't have to go through the chronic things that you've been through, who doesn't have to fear dying from something terminal. If you can feel into the version of you who's already healthy, and what Dr. Joe says, when you're trying to heal, you should feel wholeness. You're not incomplete. So if you can feel wholeness now, practice that over and over again, not just in meditation, but with your eyes opened. You are drawing a future to yourself that you don't have to worry about that sickness anymore. You don't have to worry about living with that chronic condition anymore. It's possible. And that's how these people on his stories of transformation are getting these miraculous healings. They're not just happening fast, they're happening over time with them practicing what they practice. So I hope you feel inspired. I hope you're starting to feel that the deeper the truth, that manifesting a new future isn't just about thinking differently, it's about feeling differently too. When your mind knows exactly what it wants and your heart feels as though it's already happened, you become magnetic to the quantum field. And in the next part, we're going to talk, or we're going to hear, an incredible real world story. How Dr. Joe's son, Jace, used these principles to manifest his new dream opportunity. And it's a real story, y'all. And Jace is a real person. I found him. But, anyways, it's one of my favorite parts of the book. I'll see you in part 4. Thanks, guys.